Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our Survivor Winners at War, episode 13 reaction. We have 2 hours of Survivor to get through, though really it's like an hour and 50 minutes of Survivor. And I do not believe for a split second that they were just like, well, we ran out of footage, so let's just show an extended recap at the end of our penultimate episode.
Oh, I agree. That was a little bit of a wah.
Way to build up excitement for your finale.
We've been here. We don't need a recap, anything. We've all been here for the ride.
This is the funniest thing, as I was going through all these like crises in my head over the last 20 minutes of this, because I was like, oh no, they're gonna have someone return to Edge of Extinction before we've done any rankings. How can I survive without rankings? And then it was like, oh no, actually no, they're gonna make us wait to the finale, and then we're just gonna waste all of our time for the next 7 minutes.
Kind of like a good news, bad news situation here. We have to watch this recap, but rankings still get to happen. Yay!
It's gonna be, look at you being the positive one here. See, it is gonna be so hilarious and or maddening if they start the finale with another recap of the entire season that we've done, because don't they usually do that?
They usually do, yeah, so it'll be a little bit maddening. And come on, we only have these 3 hours left. Like, don't do that.
Well, we are gonna take you through these 2 episodes. There's a lot of questionable decision making that we have to talk about throughout, kind of across the board. Before we dive in though, if you guys do like this video, give us a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any other updates. The finale is in 1 week, or in Tony's vocabulary, week and a half.
Yeah.
What was that? Give me 5 more minutes of Tony and Jeremy talking about the definition of a week over that thing at the end.
Somehow Tony's having days off on the island. Work week's only 5 days, so it's a week.
Yeah.
I wish that were true, Tony.
I have so many just random thoughts about this episode. It was really funny at times, and there's a temptation for me to keep wanting to just jump forward and talk about the second episode, but I think we have to talk about the first hour first, because I think events that happen here play very big into what happens in the second episode.
Sure, yeah.
It's kind of a chain reaction in that sort of way. But the biggest question that I'm sort of just kind of racking my brain over is, if you're Michelle, you know that at least at this point, you seemingly know that no one is coming for you just yet. You have the 50-50.
Yep, he gave it back. Jeremy gave it back.
Yeah,
which is what I thought was going to happen. It was just the right move for him to do. It was going to buy him some goodwill if he got to stay in the game, sort of thing. I mean, I get it.
There's going to be a lot of armchair quarterbacks out there that are like, oh, Jeremy should have kept the 50-50. But it's sort of like, there's no way Jeremy can telegraph every single event from there on out at the time in which he gave it back. And if he kept it and Michelle wanted it back, he would have been burning her probably for the remainder of the game.
If he had kept it and she went onto the jury, he's not getting her vote. Like, a lot of people forget that you need to continue to sort of finesse the jury. So just in case he didn't end up at the finals with her and she's sitting on that panel, there's got to be some goodwill there. It can't be, oh, can I have my 50-50 back? No.
That doesn't work well.
Please vote for me. So, there's got to be a little bit of goodwill there.
Yeah, I don't think Jeremy did a bad move there. But by the time you get to Tribal Council, Michelle can't be thinking that she is the person who is going to have the majority of the names written down. I guess it's paranoia, but the real coulda, woulda, shoulda is, why did you not decide to just give the 50-50 to Jeremy? As entertaining as I found it, once Michelle realized that it landed on safe, she acted like she just won like a car on The Price is Right or something. She was like so excited.
Yeah, that advantage, I don't know. I've been complaining about it all season, but it was actually entertaining to watch her flip that coin.
Yeah, I feel like we should just give you just a 5-minute eulogy to just talk about how much you hated the 50-50 advantage.
Yeah, I did. Well, listen, for that many tokens, it just was too many tokens.
Yeah.
I do like, though, that by the end of the season, it's getting ramped up and ramped up. That's like, oh, it's 4 tokens for this crappy 50-50 thing, and then it's 6 tokens to not be extorted. Now it's like 8 tokens for something else.
It is
just so you can play a disadvantage on one person. That doesn't really help you really at all. Like, it's getting expensive in this game.
Even just the name, the 50-50 advantage, is really dumb. It's not, for those of you who saw Survivor Nicaragua, it's not the Medallion of Power dumb, but it is pretty far up there. The Medallion of Power will always be the dumbest idea in the history of Survivor twists. But this, at least it's done. Ultimately, Michelle uses it on herself. I'm guessing it is last second paranoia. You don't know what people are going to do.
It's $2 million.
Yeah.
Listen, it's $2 million. If she had played it on anybody else, then no. It's way too late in the game. Everything's about your own safety right now.
Then we get to some of the other decisions that were made here. First and foremost, why are people not being like, you know who's dangerous? Tony and Sarah.
Yeah.
It felt pretty clear to me at this past tribal with like the communication between Tony and Sarah that Tony had an idol. At least that's what it looked like watching the show. Nobody's really talking about it though. Maybe everybody didn't pick up on it or something. I don't know.
And everybody knows they're working together. You cannot have 2 people that are that tight going this far into the game. I can't believe that we just had 2 hours of Survivor and nobody threw their names out. I couldn't believe it. I mean, to be fair, they were really doing some silver-tongued magic going on with everybody and convincing everybody of everything. Tony was really controlling everything. Oh, we're all going to vote like this. Oh, now we're all going to vote like this. It was mind-boggling to watch. Very entertaining, but I do not understand why everybody knows they're together and nobody's talking about it. It's just like, oh, we'll get out whoever, Nick, Ben, guys.
I think it is time we start to seriously consider Tony as one of the best social players out there. And so everybody at least kind of dogged Tony's social game at times on Kageyan. It wasn't perfect, but for him to be able, when he has a clear ally in Sarah, who they are close friends outside of the game, to be convinced people to not do something at him or at her. This is the first tribal, this first episode, that he didn't have immunity in weeks. At least weeks in our time, not Survivor time or Tony time.
Yeah.
But they still didn't want to make the move. It is crazy to me. I don't understand that part of it. Then we have this other part of it now, where here's the decision. Do you want to go after Jeremy or do you want to go after Ben? If you're Tony and if you're Sarah, what do you want here?
I think it's just with the way that Ben's been playing all season. He said, nobody's giving him any advantages, and nobody's leaving him any fire tokens. Like, nothing's really happening with him. I think he said it in the second episode. He's kind of like, I guess nobody really likes me. I don't think that's nobody really likes you, Ben. I think it's just he hasn't made those connections with anybody. So the idea of bringing Ben to the end looks real good. I mean, is anybody going to throw him the votes if he's sitting up against Tony or Sarah? I don't think so.
0. That is how many votes Ben will probably get at Final Tribal Council.
He ain't getting Jeremy's vote.
No, he's not getting Jeremy's vote. We can guarantee one thing. Jeremy will not vote for Ben to win Survivor. Now, the thing is, my head and my heart wanted 2 very different things. Like, my Survivor heart is like, yeah, I want to see Jeremy on my television for a little bit longer.
Yes.
I'd love to hang out with Jeremy on the island. I don't know if I would want to hang out with Ben, because apparently a lot of people hate Ben, and Ben hates a lot of people over the course of a season.
And that's why you continue to go to the
Yes.
end with Ben. But, yeah, I mean, Jeremy's a really great player, and he's been playing a really good social game, and he has been in danger a lot the past couple of weeks where he's been able to kind of slide out of each of these situations, and he's dangerous. So I understand why he's got to go.
Yeah.
As much as it's crappy, but, I mean...
There's 2 more things to talk about here before we move on from Jeremy. Number 1, Tony straight up owning to Jeremy that he's like one of the people who voted him out. Right? Like, Tony, don't you want his fire token? Can't you have just said something else? But like, no, look, it was Nick, throw somebody else's name out there, don't throw yourself. Get the fire token, play the Michelle. This is the one thing we can say undeniably Michelle has done a good job at. It has not been voting correctly, but it has been getting fire tokens after the fact.
You know, watching Michelle each episode just kind of go back to camp and be like, has been, I feel it through the screen where I feel like, why is she on the outs of everything? She doesn't know anything that's going on. I can't imagine how frustrating that is.
It has to be maddening. I can't even imagine.
Because it's not like she hasn't been talking to people and she hasn't been trying to make some of those connections. Like, everything is just falling through for her again and again and again and again. And that's why it was kind of cool to see her win that immunity and just be like, you know what, I'm tired of this. There is only so many times I can leave tribal council and be like, or like, I'm over it.
It was tribal council has not been Michelle's friend other than not being voted out at it, I guess. But otherwise, yeah, it has been terrible. But the only other thing, and this is where we get to our jumping off point for the second hour, Nick. Because Nick kind of, he fashions himself the swing vote here at this tribal, that he is going to have the power, he's going to make the move. Congratulations, Nick. You get rid of Jeremy. You make this move, and Nick was kind of feeling himself a little bit after this, too. He kind of thought that he was, you know, he has kind of created his path, and this is the ultimate Survivor editors just like putting his head on the guillotine. The moment that he's like, you know, I'm starting to feel like I'm in a really good spot in this game. It's like, actually, Nick, you're not anymore. This is your demise.
Yeah, I mean, it does go with the edit of how sort of things are going. As soon as the more we see Michelle being like, and then that's it. She's got the immunity sort of thing. Yeah, and then you got Nick who's feeling himself, and then it's, see you later, dude. It just kind of is how it is with this show.
The funniest thing to me was that after the first hour, I was really starting to be like, you know what? Maybe Nick actually is a little bit of an underdog threat to win this game, because he can kind of take some ownership of the Jeremy move, because he was a swing vote for it. He did at least I don't want to say an incredible job, but he did a decent enough job taking his licks from Michelle after the fact, who was clearly...
Oh, man, did he ever take it.
Yeah.
That was something else for her to be like, I was wondering if you were going to have the cojones to come down here and deal with me. And he was kind of like, all right, just give it to me. Let's get over this together, shall we?
I like Nick when he is kind of flustered. That to me is the most likable version of Nick, because he just looks like he's like wandering through the woods trying to find his way home every time he's like that.
Yeah.
But even at that point, I was like, okay, well, Nick he's figuring out a way to get through this and advance. And then we get to where all the sort of stuff starts to go in weird directions for Nick.
Yeah, and just kind of weird in general. I mean, we saw Denise try to sort of play possum and be like, it's probably gonna be me, and so I just want this full belly of rice and to go over, and that kind of gameplay, which just didn't feel believable. And even, you know, there was people on the jury that were kind of like, are you buying this? I don't know why anybody was buying this. We saw her make this huge move against Sandra. She's going to make it all the way to like just before the end, and then kind of be like, you know, if it's going to be me, it's going to be me. I'm not going to hustle. It's just going to be me. I was just like, I don't know why anybody's believing this. And if it's true, which I don't think it was, then, I mean, you should be going home. Who goes all the way to the end like that and is like, it was good. It was good to make it right to the end and then have some rice and go home.
If you're going full Eeyore and Survivor, 99% of the time, going full Eeyore is pretty much just always going to be some just nonsense that doesn't amount to anything. Because if you're just like, oh, you know, it's another rainy day, and you're just like wandering, I've lost my tail, then like you're going to be in a situation where you're just going to quit. Like, you don't need to stick around for Tribal Council. Like, that part of things was very, very weird.
It was weird, and because she's played such a strong game all season long, I didn't understand why anybody was even considering this to be possibly true.
Nick falls victim of a little bit of this. Nick also falls a little bit victim with his advantage of a disadvantage. Let's talk this through here, because Natalie ends up finding her 200th fire token over on the edge of extinction.
Man.
Natalie, okay, I will say this about Natalie, in that I still do not want personally somebody from Edge of Extinction to win this game, because I don't feel like that Survivor, that's just the hill that I'm going to die on, but she's got a good case in that she's got about a zillion fire tokens.
Okay, if she does not come back with 14 fire tokens, she's like, I've got an advantage, I've got an idol, I'm giving an extra idol to Tyson, I got my peanut butter, plus I still have like an excess of like 6 more tokens. I was just like, if you don't come back, Natalie, if you don't come back, I do not understand what is going on. You've got the peanut butter advantage. I saw you eating that peanut butter. It is such an advantage, even more than anything else. So I'm still, all my money, all my fire tokens are on Natalie coming back. She's got the peanut butter.
There is a cosmic power in peanut butter this season. It helped Tyson. It took Kim out of the game. The ultimate peanut butter should win the $2 million prize, really, at this point.
I agree. It is a good source of protein.
We're really doing this again.
I can't help it. It's just, I love peanut butter. I know peanut butter can really help people. And my point is proven, because it helped Tyson get back in. It is going to help Natalie get back in. It's the way to go, peanut butter.
So at this point, Nick has been given this potential advantage thanks to Natalie's
advantage.
Yeah, where he can screw over somebody else at the immunity challenge. He's got a lot of options at this point, and I'm sort of starting to try to think a few things through. And if I was Nick, I don't think this was a particularly good person to play it on. And the reason I think that you shouldn't have used it on Ben is because you know that you don't have an immunity idol. Doesn't seem like everyone knows that Ben has an immunity idol, but you know you don't have one. What is the number one thing Ben is really known for? Finding idols. I think if you want to try to blindside him, you can't give him an indication, even with screwing him over at immunity, that people are sort of routinely coming for him, because he just had his name written down before. I would have sort of just been like, you know what? I'm either going to just throw this at somebody else who maybe it's not going to matter all that much one way or another, just lower the odds, or go big and just put it on Tony and then try to blame it on somebody else after the fact.
I feel like knowing that Tony and Sarah are together, even if they were working with me, at this point in the game, you're so close to the end, they cannot stay together. I would have thrown that on Tony, or I would have thrown, he has won a bunch of immunities in a row, I would have thrown it on Tony, or I would have thrown it on Sarah.
Just do something like that, call it a day, let them be paranoid. They may not suspect you immediately, because it seems like Nick and Tony have been reasonably close for a lot of the games, so you could do that and then sort of move on from it.
And it doesn't even really matter, because nobody seemed to really, I was wondering if it was going to cause like a bunch of paranoia afterwards, where there was going to be a whole segment of everybody scrambling to be like, was it you? Was it you? Oh, what's going on? And it really didn't seem to matter.
I did like Ben trying to ask Probst after the challenge if who did it. Like, this is a weird episode of people asking Jeff random things, because Michelle also wanted to keep the 50-50 as a souvenir. Yeah. I was like, Jeff, this is kind of a jerky thing to say, by the way, Jeff. Just be like, nope, you can't have it. I understand that she can't bring the advantage home. It'd be a spoiler, whatever else. I don't care about. She could have just said she got it at a gift shop or something.
It's true. No one's going to know what it means until the season's being played.
Yeah, but it was still it was a funny little moment. Michelle wins the immunity. She does like her post-immunity dance, which was kind of just like this sort of thing that I don't really know what it was.
It's like a dance that you do.
Maybe Michelle and I have the same dance instructor. Maybe that's exactly what's going on. I really love she also had the, please clap for me moment after the fact, which is just sort of like, you know what probably isn't a great move to make people really happy for you winning immunity? When you demand applause from them after the fact. Like, I get it.
After you've just sort of danced in their face like this.
Yeah. I understand that, you were probably the target, which, by the way, is still totally inexplicable to me. I know Tony could probably beat all these people, but still, Tony, why do you want to get rid of Michelle? Michelle is probably your easiest person to beat.
Yeah, and I sort of get what he's saying with that, where he's kind of like, listen, maybe on another season, yeah, you'd bring Michelle to the end because I'd probably be able to beat her, but this is winners at war, and I want to beat somebody who's, a bigger target like me kind of thing. Like, if I'm going to be the winner of all the winners, I need to beat the best person I could beat that's left here, sort of thing. I get that idea, but that idea doesn't guarantee you $2 million. It's not only about the bragging rights, it's also about the cash. So bring Michelle.
I'm gonna guess.
Bring Ben.
And I may be wrong, but I'm gonna guess that maybe Tony feels like, because his silver tongue has been so good as of late.
It really has.
Maybe he thinks that Michelle is the only person who was left who he really didn't have that much control over, and maybe that was sort of a part of it. But she wins immunity ultimately, so none of it matters. Also, the fire tokens, apparently, they don't really matter either, because it was sort of like, okay, guess what? The returnee person from Edge of Extinction's not even back. This is the end of the fire tokens. And then, Probst does this weird, it felt like he was doing market research at Tribal, where he was just trying to get people to talk about the merits of fire tokens in the game.
Listen, the only thing that I've found fire tokens to be useful for is peanut butter, obviously.
and also getting voted off.
And idols. And the peace out advantage was pretty good, too. Then
you
started bringing in, extortion, which was just fun, but it wasn't really anything. And then this one tonight, that 8 tokens to just it's amazing to me that they're just, because at this point they're obviously just trying to draw out tokens. But it felt like, I thought, or at least hoped, that they were going to be a lot more valuable than they were, and it seemed that the longer you held onto them, the less valuable they became. That when you use them at the beginning, you were able to actually kind of get stuff. Like, I remember at the beginning of this game, somebody was getting an idol for 2 tokens or 3 tokens or something, and now it's 8 tokens to put a disadvantage on somebody in an immunity challenge. It's just like, okay, these tokens, man, they're becoming something, but I don't know what.
I think there could be potential for them if they were done a little bit differently, because it is, the escalating prices. There's the fact that in the end, all these people have been kind of collecting them in the game for no real apparent reason. I kind of thought that maybe at Final 5, Final 6, it would be like, okay, you can trade in fire tokens for an advantage in this immunity or something like that. Instead, we don't get anything like that. They're all just kind of completely out the window, and that's without even us going into how, if you're voted out late and go to Edge of Extinction right before the challenges, it feels like you're getting screwed versus people who have been at Edge of Extinction. It's like you're getting penalized for doing better in the game than someone like Natalie, who was gone really, really early.
Yeah, it's true.
They talk to us. We can be your fire token consulting firm.
I feel that the fire tokens could have a place in this game, but the bugs need to be worked out a little bit here. I mean, I guess it just didn't pan out the way that I was hoping it to. The only one that I found really entertaining was the extortion one, but again, it was entertainment.
It was Tony.
So he made it extra entertaining, but then it was kind of like, well, what is the purpose? Yeah,
the fire tokens in the end, it was kind of a letdown with those, but they're gone. We're at Tribal Council. We have a very interesting decision that sort of happens here at this point, where Denise has almost gone full Eeyore. She is, moping around, all of this sort of stuff. Nick ends up getting voted off, and I love the oh bleep, I'm getting voted off moment from Nick in this moment. I really like the genuine I did not see this coming.
Yeah, no, and And it's kind of true. I kind of didn't see it coming either. I mean, I understand the idea of getting out Nick. He is somebody who, if you were sitting with at the end, that people might be like, man, I really like him. Again, it's sort of that jury management. Oh, I really like him. Yeah, I would give this guy the money kind of thing. But then you also have Denise. So Denise has thrown out Tony's name. She's the only person who threw out his name, and he knows it. So why wouldn't you then take that shot? Because she took that shot at Sandra, was Sandra's own idol, and Sandra is gone. So you know that she'll be really cutthroat, and she will cut you. So if she's floating out your name, Tony, why wouldn't you just take her out? She's already basically been like, give me some rice and send me over to Edge. Like, I'm ready. So, okay, bye.
This is why we needed 5 more minutes of pre-tribal footage as opposed to the montage at the end, because maybe part of this vote would make a little bit more sense. I do get the move of, okay, let's get rid of Nick, because yes, Nick can win a lot of late season challenges. We've seen that. Nick is very smart. He can come up with arguments. I totally get all of that. And Nick is also probably at least close-ish with Michelle. And I guess if you're trying to make a strike at Michelle, maybe you're getting out her closest ally.
I guess so, but I also don't want to sit at the end with Denise after that super boss move that every person there was sitting at the table with her being like, that was amazing. Yeah, I don't want that. She can't be sitting at the end. She's got to go.
And then there was all this talk about Ben, about people maybe getting rid of Ben, and Ben doesn't get his name written down at all, and Ben's just kind of there, and he's got an idol, and Tony knows he has an idol. Tony must just be, at the end of the day, convinced that he can beat Ben at the end, and he's not that worried about it.
That's exactly what I think is going on. I think he's going to bring Ben to the end.
This is where I think Nick really needs to be kicking himself after feeling himself, because his decision to get rid of Jeremy, if he had kept Jeremy in the game, and Jeremy at that point would have been like, okay, screw Tony if Tony's trying to get me out at this point. Michelle's really close with him. It could have been Jeremy, Nick, Michelle. They could have had a group of 3, and then there's a much better chance that Nick could have at least found a way to withstand this. So I think Nick, he cannot blame anyone but himself in the end for this. He thought he had it all figured out, but he didn't see it coming. He didn't flip more. That's at least my read on it, that I think that's what Nick's got to regret here.
Yeah, I think also just Denise's connections are a lot stronger than they're actually kind of showing us on the show.
Yeah, I agree.
She must really have these connections like locked down for her to kind of be like, oh, poor me, give me the rice, send me home. Obviously, she kind of felt like that wasn't going to be happening. She must have felt pretty good. And I wish that they were showing that a little bit more, because why is Denise still there after what happened with Sandra? I don't see it. So where's that footage instead of all that extra, here's some stuff you've already seen?
Yeah, and it's like, I know I got some pushback for saying that I had Denise, I think, at number 2 on the rankings this past video, because there were some people who were saying, okay, she's really made one big move, and that's it. But it was one really, really big move, and she's also won immunities.
Yes.
She's very smart. She's got friends on the jury. I would be really, really worried about her if I went far into the game with her, but she's still there. She gets to be a part of things moving forward. Nick gets to go to Edge of Extinction, and there's more rice, so presumably everyone can be happy with that, I guess. Okay, so I think the only other thing to go over here is Natalie choosing to give Tyson that advantage. That was really kind of bizarre to me.
I agree. Now, I don't know the two of them outside the game. I don't know if they have some sort of friendship or whatever was going on there. I don't know if maybe it was just a game, like a move of respect, that she was like, listen, you already got back into the game, respect. So I'm going to do this for you. Maybe she was just feeling generous because she's fire token rich.
Yeah,
she's just like, and you can have a fire token, or you can have an advantage, and I'll have my own advantage, and we'll share this peanut butter, and why not? That it just, I don't know, right place, right time? I wish there was a little more explanation of why she chose him specifically.
Especially since she and Jeremy have like a really long-standing relationship that goes back to their first season together. I I would have thought for sure that Jeremy would have been a person that she went to with that, but who knows? That's out there in the Survivor ether.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they just developed a really good relationship while they were out on Edge together. And again, they didn't show us enough of it.
Well, that'll conclude our discussion for now. There's still all sorts of stuff to kind of comb through here, but we had full Eeyores. We had questionable advantage plays. Once again, nobody voted for Tony or Sarah at the second tribal council.
And you guys had Matt dancing.
Well, that's not a great thing. Okay, but anyway, let us know what you thought about this episode. Are you as shocked as we are that Tony and Sarah are still there? Neither one of them won any immunities this entire episode. No idol plays.
Amazing.
Let us know all your thoughts in the comments, and if you do like this video, give us a like, subscribe, and you can support us further by checking the link in the description to the store. Yeah, her dancing is way better, and
that's you.
We will see. Well,
that's my Matt impression.
Your impression of me is better than my impression of me, and we will see you here next time.